Brave chimp attack victim Charla Nash makes rare public appearance as she pleads for right to sue state for $150 million. Charla Nash has made a personal appeal to Connecticut state officials to overturn a law that prevents her from suing the state. Nash wants to sue the state for $150 million because she argues they knew about the threat of the 200-pound chimpanzee and did nothing. Her friend's chimpanzee, Travis, attacked her in 2009. She is now blind and had an experimental facial transplant in 2011. The chimp's owner died in 2010 and Nash has since received $4 million from her estate, but that money has gone to medical expenses. Charla Nash, the Connecticut woman disfigured in a 2009 chimpanzee attack, has appealed for permission to pursue a $150 million lawsuit against the state. She appeared before lawmakers on Friday to argue that officials knew the animal was a threat and failed to take action. In brief remarks to a legislative committee, Nash said the money could help her pay medical bills and give her a chance at a comfortable life. Nash, 60, was blinded, lost both her hands and underwent a face transplant following the attack. The state knew what was happening and failed to protect me, Nash said. Last year, State Claims Commissioner J. Paul Vance Jr. refused Nash's request for permission to sue the state, but the General Assembly's Judiciary Committee is considering a bill that would override that decision. The state generally is immune from lawsuits unless allowed by the commissioner. The 200-pound animal, known as Travis, attacked Nash on February 16, 2009, when she went to the Stamford home of its owner, Sandra Harold, to help her friend and employer to lure the chimpanzee back inside. The animal went berserk and ripped off Nash's nose, lips, eyelids and hands before being shot to death by a police officer. Connecticut Attorney General George Jepsen told lawmakers the state cannot be held responsible. "I am not here to diminish Ms. Nash's suffering," Mr. Jepsen said. "The law does not support this claim." Nash resides at a Massachusetts convalescent center, where she is awaiting a second attempt at a hand transplant. At the same time as her 2011 facial transplant, Nash also had a new pair of hands attached, but doctors were forced to remove them because they had poor circulation and she had contracted an infection. She reached a $4 million settlement in 2012 with the estate of Harold, who died in 2010. Nash's attorneys say that will only cover a small portion of her medical costs. Her nursing care expenses cost approximately $16,000 per month, and that does not include the cost of additional medical care. Nash's attorneys argue that the state law prohibited ownership of primates weighing more than 50 pounds without a permit, and officials had an obligation to seize the chimp because it was owned illegally by Harold. Months before the attack, a state biologist warned state officials in a memo that the chimpanzee could seriously hurt someone if it felt threatened. "They're all negligent because none of them did anything in the face of knowledge that this was an accident waiting to happen," Mr. Willinger said, according to the Hartford Courant. The Department of Energy and Environmental Policy knew you're dealing with an inherently dangerous situation. They're the ones that knew the foreseeable harm and did nothing. That's negligence. The Claims Commissioner concluded that no law at the time of the attack prevented Harold from owning the chimpanzee. He added that if the state had failed to seize the animal, the duty owed was to the general public and does not create a statutory obligation to ensure the safety of a private individual. On Friday, Jepsen said if Nash is allowed to sue, claiming the state was negligent in not seizing the animal, others will likely pursue lawsuits concerning alleged negligence involving millions of state permit and license holders. Jepsen said there are cases waiting in the chute for a decision in the Nash request. "The risk of floodgates opening up is very significant," he said.